Hello and welcome back to Khemia. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after finding out that things on Khemia seem to be a little bit suspicious. We also found out that Neferu was also involved in some questionable activity, probably when he was younger. And Ramosis, who is the current acting vizier of Khemia, is kind of a butthead. I mean, even his sister kind of, remarks on him being just a little bit too uptight. But yeah, this is rubbing Amicus and the Adastrian envoy wrong. And like, if you're trying to foster a friendship or something between these two, I don't want to call them planets because Adastra is a moon, it's not a planet, but these two races, this isn't how you go about doing it. And also the pharaoh is missing. I mean, he's not technically missing, he is currently abroad, so to speak, but he is, his whereabouts are missing. But yeah, also we found out, or I guess Scipio found out, that he apparently has a power that allows him to, I guess, communicate with other people through long distances. And I'm forgetting the other thing that it allows him to do. He, along with Neferu's sister and a lion from another species, I forgot what they're called, they all have this power. So Neferu's sister is going to try to teach him to sort of be able to utilize it, I guess, but only if he is willing to follow the rules. But yeah. Anyways, I have a feeling that Neferu and Scipio will be having the conversation about Neferu's, what he used to get up to when he was younger, I guess. Anyways, without further ado, let us continue Khemia. There wasn't much time to talk in the morning because Neferu was already gone. Already feeling down about that, things become even worse when Amicus asked me to come along to their meeting this time. I was stopped at the door by Ramosis. He seemed to almost zero in on me, saying that I would not be allowed due to my rank and position as a student to Vetris. Embarrassing would be the word to describe that morning, and learning that the vizier seems to actively dislike me for no specific reason compounds it all. I sit in the common area, downloading and reading Khemian books on my portal. I know that a Khemian counterpoint is quite a bit longer than the version that I read, and as I skim it, I note a chapter dedicated to wolverines. I vaguely wonder if that's the same species as Brunus. Despite the fact that they've been translated to Adastrian and contain knowledge that I would have happily given up all of my material possessions for, my mind wanders. This trip, and really my life as a whole, is not turning out the way that I would have imagined it. After the events of this morning, I realize now how little I truly matter in this mission. I very nearly asked Emperor Amicus what my purpose here even is. A childhood of advanced schooling. A university experience that left a third of my friends maimed or dead. More than 2 years of intense competition with 2 of my peers, all while navigating my mental deficiencies. For what? But as I skim texts describing the early and oddly peaceful relations between Khemia and Adastra, I realize that the strangest aspect of all this is that I don't feel guilt or fear at these illegal thoughts. Maybe it's because I'm on Khemia. Or maybe that part of me truly died during the traumatic journey here. But I somehow feel more distant from Adastra, and really the Galaxias as a whole. In fact, if I didn't have Mother to worry about, I'd probably ask Neferu about seeking asylum here, despite not having seen more than the palace. I assume the promise made by Khemia to accept any creature fleeing wolven oppression, including wolves themselves, still stands. He granted the human citizenship without any prior authorization, after all. Now my sole duty is to compromise that one person that I want to be able to trust. The more that I hear Amicus talk, the less that I want to hurt Neferu. I was under the impression that they were allies, and maybe they are, but Amicus's lack of concern for Neferu's emotional well-being is hard to stomach. The human was the bridge between them, and despite Amicus not saying so, it's clear that his thoughts about the human and Earth are distracting him. I sigh, glancing up in the direction of where Aya usually approaches. With Neferu having to reluctantly serve his brother for most of the day, my next session with Aya is the only thing that I have to look forward to. I don't expect to see her, but I'm surprised to see Brunus. I straighten up, embarrassed at being caught lounging so casually, even though I know Brunus does not care. Good morning, Brunus. Sorry, I didn't realize that you were standing there. Morning, Skip. Hope it didn't mean like I was doing that on purpose. Was about to say hi, but you looked a little, like you're not having a very good morning yourself. I smile, finding myself sliding back into a false demeanor of cheerfulness now that a member of the envoy is seeing me. Oh, I'm fine. I'm often told that I look rather morose when I'm reading. My friends believe that it's an unconscious, learned behavior that I developed to avoid being interrupted. I set the portal aside. Of course, I don't mind being interrupted by you, Brunus. Did you need me for anything? Nah, I'm just kind of wandering around since I don't have much to do until we get into the city tomorrow. The Khemian ambassador sits across from me. I'm in a similar position, though I don't believe that I will have much to do while in the city either. I just need to be seen. Just being seen by the public is a pretty big deal. Khemians are familiar with Amicus, and since Veterus is kind of eccentric, you'll make a nice contrast being young and having a calm temperament. Though the reason I didn't say anything at first is because you looked a bit upset. That's all. My mood had been growing lighter, but now it stalls. I had hoped that he'd let it go after the first attempt. How so? Tail twitches, fur bristling. But maybe you do that while you're reading too. I glance down at the stuffed seating that I'm on and see a few clumps of fur on my lap and on my side. The amount shows that it goes far beyond any typical shedding, obvious signs of compulsive fur pulling. I stare at it for a moment, mainly because it's been so long since I had such a habit. Not since childhood. Oh, sorry. I didn't even realize. I begin pinching up the clumps of fur, but I'm interrupted by Ahem. Please do not worry yourself with cleaning up fur. Automated cleaning drones will sweep the area multiple times a day. I'm left staring at the fur on my paw before I just drop it on the ground. Thanks, Ahem. Of course, Scipio. I'm left wondering if the return of a childhood compulsion is some kind of a bad sign. I mean, obviously I'm not complaining that you're making a mess or anything. Just, noticing something might be bothering you. I debate talking to Brunus about my problems, something I never would have considered as recently as yesterday. I slowly exhale, deciding to go with my more immediate problems. I suppose that I'm simply feeling unmoored in terms of what my assignment here actually is. Does this have something to do with the meeting that they're having in the throne room? Yes, I was stopped and told by Ramosis specifically that I would not be needed. While that's true, I'm also a backup for Vetrus. He's not exactly healthy and, well, unlikely. I may need to step into his role if something were to happen. I see. Kind of feels like you're being dismissed for your age or rank. I look up at the ceiling. Ahem, can we have privacy for this conversation? Of course, Scipio. While Vetrus tried to protest my exclusion, Amicus simply silenced him and I was left here. It makes me wonder if Vizier Ramosis is simply that difficult to deal with? Forgive me for saying. Now Brunus glances at the ceiling before turning his attention back to me. It seems that way, yeah. Now I see why you asked Aham to leave. I jumped at the opportunity to gain intel. Oh, does Aham or any other device in the palace record audio? I'm not sure, but Aham listens to the Pharaoh above all others, so it's possible. I mainly ask because any sort of criticism of my emperor could result in my dismissal from the envoy, and possibly even prison for me and my relatives. Of course, it depends on the emperor, and Amicus is usually not very vindictive. I remember reading that Khemian citizens had the right to criticize their pharaoh, though. We do, but I kind of have a similar problem. Vizier Ramosis is pretty intense, so I'm keeping on my toes until the actual pharaoh gets back. I see. I note how Brunus is sitting, resting back like he's not about to go anywhere anytime soon. Forgive me for asking, but shouldn't you be in the same meeting? He didn't ask me to attend, so I assume that I wasn't invited either. That makes me feel a bit better about my own situation. Guess I shouldn't be feeling so sorry for myself in that case. I get it. I mean, you spent the past few years getting ready for this specific moment. I've been working at it for the past 5 years, so it makes sense that you'd be pissed off. Why don't we talk about other things then, so we don't feel so on toes? Yes, I prefer that. To be honest, Skip, I've been feeling that way ever since we got here. Not to scare you, but it might be good to keep on your toes for the next few days. I nod, almost used to being told that something is off, along with feeling the unspoken tension myself. And it all seems to revolve around Ramosis. I file it away for something that I might bring up in the night's meeting with Amicus, depending on how the meeting goes. So, what you're reading? I glance out at my portal, now just a thin steel rod, due to inactivity. Oh, I'm just skimming some text to read later. I might start on the counterpoints again, since I can tell just by glancing at it that the version that I read in the Forbidden Library is heavily abridged and probably edited. It could have been. I'm surprised that you'd want to go through something like that again, though. Honestly, I find the sections about Khemian and Adastran interactions to be the most interesting, considering that we've been so isolated during my entire lifetime. Seeing any exchange between our people, whether mundane or hostile, is, well, fascinating. Ah, that's true. Well, hopefully you'll get to see it all come back in your lifetime. The good parts, I mean. Hell, with the position that you're already in, you might get to see the Galaxius' High Council someday too. I almost smirk at the thought, though I know that it's the remnants of me feeling sorry for myself after the events of this morning. Maybe. By the way, Brunus, I noticed a section while I was skimming about Wolverine species discovered by the Khemians 150 years ago. It made me curious as to where your race came from. Ah, was that section cut out of the Adastrian translation? I think so. I don't recall reading it. Is that your people? Yeah, actually. I'll let you read it though. Hatherhotep puts it into words better than I ever could. I wonder if it's modesty or a lack of knowledge on the history that's holding Brunus back, but I can tell that he's using restraint. Alright, I'll give it a read and let you know when I finish. I'm sure it's fascinating. Just be warned, it's not exactly a happy story. Might be the reason Adastrian censors cut it out. That sounds a bit ominous. But as I'm about to ask him to expand on that, I see movement behind him.
Hello, Brunus. Scipio.
Hey, Aya. Hello, it's good to see you again.
You as well? What are you two talking about? I heard something about reading in censorship.
I'm reading a Khemian counterpoint to Adastra history.
Oh, really? That is a rough one. Hopefully you aren't too mentally drained by it.
I'm fine. I won't start reading it until after our session. I intend to do exactly that as the reactions of both Khemians is starting to make me not just curious but concerned. It's the feeling that I don't know something that I should. Just remember, it all happened before you were born. I turn on my portal and put a bookmark on the section titled The Price of Metal to read later tonight.
Are you ready for our session tonight, Scipio?
Sure, I'll just need to take my portal back to my room.
Oh, you can just have Ahem do that. Ahem?
There was a pause. Oh, we're done with our conversation, Ahem. Could you take my portal back to my room? Certainly. I realize how futile it must be trying to get privacy from Ahem if he's already listening for the command that we no longer need privacy. One of the smooth, glossy black drones is suddenly beside me, wordless, a metal appendage extended towards my portal before I hand it over and watch the drone float away.
Were you two exchanging secrets?
You could say that. I'm guessing you guys are gonna go exchange your own secrets now. Brunus notes my look of surprise and raises his paw, disarmingly. Neferu was complaining about you two and your little sessions yesterday. None of my business, though.
Oh, Neferu. He has been feeling left out lately. We'll have to see how he's faring later today. Now, let's be off. Until next time, Brunus.
Yes, until then. Later. Think that I'll just take a nap while you guys are doing your thing. Now that I'm familiar with the basics, I follow Aya without hesitation into the contact room, feeling only a little nervous about what's to come.
Alright, how are you feeling today, Scipio?
I think to make sure that I'm putting the right words into the emotions that I have. I feel calm. I do have some lingering frustration over my role in the mission, but only if I dwell on it.
Can you quiet that part of your mind for now?
Yes. I say it, but I'm already ahead of her, thinking of nothing except our session.
Great. Now this is something that I should have asked yesterday. But I must admit that I'm new to this, and I'm sorry for my lapse in judgment yesterday.
I tilt my head, looking at Aya expectingly, trying to convey an attentive but curious nature.
Do you have a history of any mental problem difficulties? Namely psychosis or disassociation? I know you mentioned Ahawawi yesterday, but if dealt with in the appropriate way, like most of the mental illnesses, it can be overcome.
I feel almost impatient with all of this, feeling like we've gone over this already. Does this have to do with what happened yesterday?
In a way, I ask for two reasons. The first being that if you do suffer from a mental health issue, there are many options and resources that I can help connect you with.
I nod, though I know that this is something that I cannot do while part of this envoy.
The second reason does have to do with yesterday. I want to make sure that what happened to you wasn't caused by your own mind turning on you, which can happen in rare cases. Remember, I won't prod too much. This is all based on trust in our own agency.
I take a deep breath. Not that I'm aware of. Well, Ahiwawi has caused me to disassociate in the past. It's been a long time. As for psychosis, that is where one has delusions and hallucinations?
Yes, among other things.
One of my university friends experienced it while suffering withdrawals from alcohol, but it's something that I've never had to endure. What happened yesterday was... It was something real and something that I've only begun to experience shortly before arriving here on Khemia. I'm almost certain that it is not my own mind causing it.
Understood. So while we know of its existence, we're not fully certain of what it is. I just want you to know that it's something that can't stop, depending on your choices that you make.
You know what I'm going through? Can you tell me anything about it?
That is a very hard question to answer, but it's known that amongst the 4 siblings with the Sakhet, each has experienced the phenomenon in the past decade. Because of the lack of knowledge, we have to use the name the Leaves to refer to it, since that's what it sounds like. My predecessor, who served for over 100 years, said that it was one of the most challenging anomalies he's faced, and it is by far the most disturbing.
Relief floods me. The knowledge that the strange voice and visions have afflicted others is somehow comforting. And we have absolutely no idea what it could be.
We've exhausted all records and resources that we know of, and nothing comes up. It takes on different forms for each of us. But the through line is this: it attempts to fool us into submitting to its will by offering what we want most.
I almost ask Aya about her experience, but I'm glad that I don't after what she says next.
It's usually so personal that most do not ask or tell about it. If it reaches a point that feels out of your control, however, please do let me know. I just don't want to invade your privacy.
It's strange that, as a wolf, I wish this was the one thing that she'd invade my privacy for. Have any of the Sakhets fallen or succumbed to it?
No, and that's the good news. It seems to require a true want on the part of the Sakhet to do the bidding of the leaves.
So I only need to resist its temptations?
Yes, but that is easier said than done, isn't it? It can take a while, but for now, let's focus on not letting it creep in on our sessions. What we're doing today will almost guarantee that anyway, and because it requires so little mental energy, you can ask more questions either about the leaves or simply what you see and learn today.
I feel light and capable with this new information, no matter how vague and unsaid it had all been. Others like me have experienced it, and they all seem to overcome it. What is it that we're doing?
We're actually going to try and read the parents.
Although that makes me far more nervous, I do my best not to show it. And that is easy?
Yes, it's almost as if they allow it or ignore it at the very least. So without resistance, you get hints and waves of intentions and feelings. Really, the hardest part is trying to piece it together afterwards.
I nod, absorbing and trying to memorize every word. I wish that I was able to take notes. Alright. What must I do differently from yesterday to reach the parents?
So, you know the feeling that you sometimes get when you're being pulled somewhere higher?
Yes?
So, you'll need to search for it. But once you feel an opening or a pull, follow it up, all the way up. It might seem scary, but know that that's what the parents are. You can't go too far, so don't worry about that.
I hate myself for letting the doubt and fear creep in as the moment of truth comes closer.
I'll be right with you the entire time. Just don't go too fast or in another direction.
Like the leaves?
Yes, but the leaves don't exist on the plane where the parents reside. So as long as we go there, it has no power.
I nod.
So, go ahead and begin meditating. I'll join you once I feel that you've passed to the other side.
How long will I need to keep meditating to achieve this?
You might already not need to, but there's no reason to try that now. Keeping everything consistent and structured helps. Besides, a meditative or hypnotic state is the goal anyway.
Isn't Zamek joining us?
Tomorrow. This is more of an individual experience.
I nod, then cross my legs and sit on the soft sand, begin to breathe slowly, listening to soft sound of air going in and then out, focusing on it. I open my eyes and I'm surprised to see that I'm there already. Maybe I will try without meditation next time. I wait a moment, listening, and then call out with my mind. Aya? Not here yet. I remember the leaves and feel some anxiety, hoping that it doesn't find me in this gap in time, that I'm alone. But then that's when I feel the pull from above. I focus on it, and its pull strengthens, and I almost feel like a magnet rising without having to do anything.
Scipio, are you already...
Not wanting to miss the opportunity that I feel, I interrupt her. I can feel it pulling me already, Aya. Let's go. And then I stop resisting, even as Aya begins to say something about taking things just a little slower. I don't seem to have the control though, and I feel as I'm being stretched as I fly upwards at what feels to be faster than light speed. And it halts hard, Very hard. Not painfully, but a jolt that interrupts that sensation of flight. I wait in the darkness. I've lost Aya, but I'm not worried, sensing a similar pull from below where my body is, but I ignore that for now. Though I can't see anything, I sense what can only be the parents. Movement around me feels like vast, monolithic hills and waves, and with a great deal of fear but also excitement, I open my mind, waiting to feel. The strange part is, I don't feel anything. I feel Sapient 2455785455673 analyzes the infinite threads that spread in all directions and all possibilities. Sapient 2455785455673's timeline is at risk of accelerated corruption. Former risk 72.751%. Current risk 73.221%. Nullify Sapient 2455785455673. Negative. Risk of complete Galaxia's corruption 100%. Continue observation. Next Sapient of interest. Sapient 2456133267109. Human. Earth. Probability of successful unification shifted from 22.581% to 12.554%. Chance of full unification before arrival 0.00000011%. Recategorizing timeline. Pathway Delta 1082-B7M8-Beta. Deprioritized to Delta 1082-B7M8-Zeta. Observation level minimal. Schedule reanalysis 0.000005 span cycles. I fall through the void again, back down towards where my body is pulling me. I'm not sure what happened over the course of the last few seconds, minutes. Could be hours, but I know that it can't be. As I settle into the feeling of my body again, the last to come is the pain. Blinding, aching, lances of fire through the left hemisphere of my brain, from brow to the base of my neck. I look up through the watering eyes and see that Aya is still gone, so I curl up, rubbing desperately at the spot just above my left eye. It twitches out of my control, and I worry that these spasms are somehow happening in my brain as well. What in the fuck? Nothing ever works out like you think, does it? The pain dulls, and I manage to sit back up, waiting for Aya to come back. If Aya meant for me to see what I did, I don't understand why. I couldn't understand most of it, but it didn't sound friendly in the least bit. I consider the possibility that I went off course. I did leave Aya behind when she was supposed to be my guide after all. For some reason, I feel like I'm back in primary school, worried that my instructor is going to be angry or disappointed in me. Aya's eyes blink open and I straighten my posture, looking at her with an almost embarrassed smile.
Skip, I lost you. Are you alright?
Yes. I'm sorry for moving ahead. The pull was so strong that I kind of just, let it, I suppose?
That's fine, Scipio. As long as you're alright. What happened?
What do I say? And if I tell her, how much do I say? Trust and your own agency. I realize now how contradictory those two concepts are. Does that mean that I can choose not to say anything in case that I saw things that I should not have, either because the Galaxius' rules or because she'll think that I'm insane? 0.00000011%. I feel less worried when that percentage stirs back up to the surface of my mind, and I'm not sure why. Or maybe it's because I hope that it's not for the reason that I think. What exactly are you supposed to sense when...
Scipio, your eye. Is your lingua all right?
I raise a paw and touch the spot above my left eye, annoyed that it's still spasming every couple of seconds. Something happened, but I'm not sure it was the parents. And so I tell her as much as I remember, from being pulled up so fast that I was left almost dizzy even in my mind, followed by the confusing cold math that made little sense to me. When I finish with my falling back down to my body, Aya stares at me with a look of shock. I rub my face hard, feeling the spasms subsiding despite still twitching a couple of times every minute. Please, if I did something wrong or if I'm in trouble, just tell me.
Sorry, Skip. It's just that I don't think that you just sensed the parents. You might have seen through their eyes.
Oh.
Can you remember the numbers? Or what was being said?
I tell her what I can, but it makes even less sense now. Sapien 2 trillion something, percentages lowered, probabilities and pathways. I wonder if Aya is going to be worried or tell me that I am actually mentally ill, but she surprises me with excitement.
I knew that you were special, Scipio. There have been a handful of Sakhets that have been able to see the way that you do.
And they saw and heard the same numbers? Also, I felt like I was moving through time in the strangest of ways.
How so?
I wish Aya could have seen what I did. Maybe then she'd be less excited and more worried. Like, you know how we move forward and can look back? Aya nods enthusiastically, like she already knows what I'm about to say. It felt like moving... It's hard to explain. Sideways? Like I was moving in a different way through time. Time was almost a structure that I could see in its entirety. I only got a glimpse, though.
That's the parents, Scipio. They see time all at once. At least that's what the other Sakhets have said.
I think of something that gives me some hope. Did these other Sakhets leave records of some kind that I can look at? They must know a great deal about the parents that most of us do not.
They likely did, but if so, it's definitely sealed away in some hidden vault. You have an extremely privileged view into the parents' inner workings.
I try to smile back to absorb her enthusiasm, but I'm only left with a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. It's like I've never learned, that each time that I try to find answers, I'm only left with far more questions.
What was it like? I've heard their math and calculations described as elegant and even beautiful.
I laugh, rubbing the back of my head, disguising the way that I rub at the ache. I'm not very good at math, unfortunately. I can only describe it as confusing and, honestly, a little bit frightening.
That's understandable.
Is that how it will be every time that I try to sense the parents?
Not necessarily. I think you went as far as you could and became one with them. But I'm sure with less intensity, you can try to keep it only general feelings and motives.
What have you been sensing lately?
It's been a bit harder as of late. These days I usually don't sense anything, but when I do, it's fairly restrained, or even apathetic. While I won't make any decisions for you, I strongly suggest that you tell your Emperor. You would be a great asset to Adastra and all of your successors.
Maybe.
But Skip, just make sure not to tell the wrong people, and whatever you do, make sure that Ramosis doesn't find out.
I have no plans on telling him, but I have to ask. Okay, why is that?
The way that he's been acting the past few days is really unusual, even for someone like him. He's been asking me to predict the future and spy on other siblings. I tell him enough to keep him happy, but I worry thinking what he might do if he knows how much you can see.
Just like yesterday, I find myself standing before my Emperor and Veterus with little to report. Luckily, they don't expect me to have much, if anything. Veterus is still complaining about my being denied access to the meeting. It's outrageous. What the hell does he even think we're here for? Does he believe that we just threw a student into the envoy at random without proper... Enough, Vetris. Everything's been said already. Besides, Scipio's missed nothing. I frown. Really? That meeting was hours long, was it not? Hours and hours of nothing. It is a talent that the jackal can go on like that. Yes, the vizier is simply running us in circles, which I've accepted. All we can do is wait for his father to arrive. When's that? The next few days. Though I swear that it was in a few days. 2 days ago, was it not? I'd love to see him trying to keep us here a day longer than our public appearance tomorrow. Speaking of, what will be required of me during your speech tomorrow, Emperor Amicus? Not much. Just stand there and look civilized, which is what they won't expect. Apologies, but your directive to give you privacy has been overridden by Vizier Ramosis. Scipio, Vizier Ramosis requests your presence in private in the courtyard. What? It feels like my stomach drops through the floor, and Amicus and Vetris look just as surprised. Can I not accompany him as his emperor? And I as his teacher. I am sorry, but he specifically requested a private meeting. He says no more than 10 to 15 minutes. Outside, though? Don't worry, Scipio. He might be strange, but as long as you don't take any of his baiting, it should be fine. And say as little as possible. He likes to take any spare words and twist it. We'll be waiting right inside the palace, and you can report on what he says when you get back. All right. I make my way to the door, scared and angry that I'm being made to feel worthless and toyed with at the same time. It's like I can't trust anyone. I look around the courtyard, hoping that for whatever reason, Neferu is out here too. I haven't seen him all day, and I assume that he's been with his brother. Hello? My voice sounds small, lonely, desolate. Just outside the gates, Scipio. I stare into the night, truly wondering if I'm about to die or be taken prisoner for whatever reason. I can't imagine that I'm worth much, but this is far too strange. Slowly I follow the path into the open desert. I stand there, waiting, eyes darting in every direction. A shift of gravel and sand, followed by movement to my right. I bow, deciding not to speak first. His eyes are piercing, and they look me up and down. Then he seems to relax a bit, though I stay tense. Beautiful evening, isn't it? Very much so. I keep my eyes lowered, doing everything that I can not to offend him. All that I know is that I've somehow found myself caught up in one of his games that I've heard so much about. I just have no idea why. Are you ready to see the city tomorrow? It will be nice to get out of the palace, I am, yes. Though the palace itself is very beautiful and I have no qualms with staying longer, thank you for your accommodating me, Vizier. Ramosis snorts in a way that would be considered rude, but I don't react. Why do you think that I've chosen to speak with you out here, young wolf? I wonder if he even knows my name, but I already know the answer to that. I'm not sure, Vizier. Do you wish to tell me? Do I? It's hard to say since I can be so difficult, correct? I keep my face expressionless and I revert to silence again. I like to keep things private, Wolf, and so do all of you, it seems. While initially the situation felt strange, now I know that it's outright hostile, but still I don't know why. We've all said offensive things about Ramosis in places that had now clearly been bugged. You think me to be a fool, Wolf? Again, I'm silent. I can barely hear him over my breathing and pounding heart. I no longer suspect him to be a mad ruler. He is mad. What are you and Aya doing? So that's it. If I'd been smarter, I'd have realized that would have been the most interesting thing about me to him. Aya, we've become quick friends. She had taught me quite a bit about palm reading. Ramosa stares at me for a long, long time. I'm almost certain that the contact room cannot have recording devices in it. If there are, then Ramosa's put them there, and that means that we have far more to worry about than what he thinks that I'm doing. What I can't figure out is why he's revealing this to me. I stand there like a sculpture, a statue cast in bronze, my emotions non-existent, just like I've trained them to be. You wolves. Did they only bring you along because you're too thick to realize that you're being made fun of? Or because you're one of the weak ones, too frail to fight back? I subconsciously size the jackal up and have the distinct feeling that without his security drones, I'd be able to break his snout sideways. But I stand there, getting some pleasure out of seeing him work himself up over my lack of reaction. You know, I could have you imprisoned for espionage. Aya and her work are sacred and secret, and it would be a disaster if it fell into the paws of your barbaric empire. He can't do that, and if he did, it would be a grave mistake. I have diplomatic immunity, and everyone knows it. Being imprisoned for something a member of the royal family willingly shared with me would have no grounds, and even if Khemia has changed, I know that it would be not a popular decision. His father would reverse it the second that he arrived anyway. What strikes me most about the sentence, however, is the way that he referred to Aya. It sends a chill down my spine in a way nothing he said about me has. Someone is spying on me, Wolf, before you even got here. Who else could do such a thing from such a long distances? He's mad. He's mad and I'm here alone with him. And you are able to see through the eyes of the parents? A wolf? That is... He laughs, not helping the image of a pharaoh who has lost his mind. I wonder if he's revealed this side of himself to anyone else. I hope so, otherwise I doubt that they'd believe me. Go back to your lover, Wolf. Keep playing your games with Aya, but be warned, the second that you become a threat to me, Aya, or Khemia, I won't hesitate. And tell them whatever you want. My point has been made. I bow, turn, and leave. Amicus is furious even though I didn't mention half of what the vizier said. Vitreous is stunned, one of the few times that I've ever seen him in such a state. We agree to keep what happened quiet, but Amicus makes it clear that I am not to follow the vizier's orders any longer. He also makes it clear that if the actual pharaoh doesn't show up in 3 days, we're leaving, the alliance be damned. As for me, I'm not too upset. I'm just further deflated knowing that I'm the one he decided to take his unhinged paranoia and rage out on. I finally make my way to Neferu's room, and it's hard to describe how happy it makes me to see him there. Not just Neferu, but Aya too. Skip, finally we see each other. It seems our duties are keeping us busy. You alright? I suppose the stress of the night is showing on my face, but I do my best to smile and nod. Aya narrows her eyes, however.
Did Ramosis corner you?
My facade drops and it comes out in a huge, exhausted sigh. Why does everyone here seem to know everything that's happening to me? Well, at least Neferu doesn't, judging by his reaction. What? What happened?
He thinks Scipio is spying on him, somehow. I don't know why. I told him that you aren't, and I'm being honest. He said that he wouldn't.
Do you think that he'd go so far as to bug this room? No, that would be illegal. Even the pharaoh can't spy on private rooms. And what do you mean cornered? What happened, Skip? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why he decided to unload this shit on me when he's barely held a single fucking conversation with me. I'm just fucking tired, that's it. I pinch the bridge of my snout, leaning back against the wall. I'm sorry. I'm just tired.
I'm sorry to Skip. We can talk later. I'll let you get some rest.
I'm disappointed, not just because she's leaving, but because I'm losing control of my emotions when I'm with my friends. Thanks, Aya. Know that he's bugged the contact room as well.
I see.
She sounded distant, her disbelief clear. Are you going to the speech tomorrow?
I am, yes.
I'd like to talk to you then, you know? I make a point of looking at the ceiling. Just something concerning that I noticed that involves you. It might be nothing. She gives me a look that makes me wonder if she already knows what I'm talking about. Judging by what she said about Ramoses, she probably does.
All right, Skip. I'll talk to you then. Get some good rest tonight.
Thanks, you too. Neferu and I stand in the dimly lit room while I lean my head back against the wall again, eyes closed, feeling a dull throb behind my eyelids. Why don't you come to bed? I nod, then follow him to sit on the edge of his bed, resting my head in my paws. He waits another moment before speaking. Did you want to tell me what happened, or... When I speak, it's low, almost inaudible, so that Neferu has to lean in to hear. I would. It's just... I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I'll explain when we're left the palace at some point. I hate Ramoses, but I also hate myself for being afraid. I hate him. Neferu echoes my thoughts. When father gets back, he'll be lucky to. Neferu glances around the room, shaking his head. Again, the most confusing part is that he's focused on me. I don't understand what I did, and why would he tell me? I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. Don't worry, I won't provoke him, but after what he told you, he's already broken several laws, and it's now obvious that he's trying to sabotage the mission, so at least there's that. Targeting you makes absolutely no sense. What's the relationship between him and Aya? Non-existent, at least up until I left for Adastra. I nod, staring at the wall. Why do you ask? Is it about what you're going to talk to Aya about on our outing? Yeah, I'll let you know then too. Something about him makes me want to crawl out of my skin. I say the last words low, under my breath. You spent the day with him. Does he seem the same as he was? Sometimes. He's clearly drunk with power, but it's the same Ramoses that I remember. I certainly wouldn't have expected that from him. How the hell is it that I, a random wolf from Adastra, sees this side of him for the first time when he's been rambling on with Neferu, Aya, Amicus, and Venturus for days, years, for his siblings? I'm so unsettled that I search around for anything to talk about, and I realize that Neferu never did tell me about his past, like he said that he would. Are you feeling particularly tired right now? Not necessarily. Why? I realize he's misinterpreted my intentions, and I feel a bit bad as I clarify. If you're able to talk about what happened in your youth, I'd like to know. Oh. Only if you'd like. I've just talked about myself so much today. And I suppose that I haven't talked much at all doing Ramoses' bidding. Be warned, it's not exactly a happy story. I'm used to it. Just don't take any of this the wrong way. It was over a decade now, but it will help explain why I'm here in the first place. Okay. I brace myself as Neferu moves to a sofa opposite of me, allowing me to see him as he tells me his history. So, where to begin? Back when I was around 16 or 17, I was unreasonably rebellious. More so than now? Much. But that was around the time that I started dabbling in anti-Adastrian literature, and by the time that I was 18, I was a high-ranking member of the Children of Saira. Is that the same Saira who the tower is named after? Yes, she was probably the most effective and anti-Galaxia separatist in Khemia's history. Despite her politics being unsuccessful in the end, she did manage to create a Khemia that did not need the parents to sustain or even advance its tech. That's not exactly important in this context, though. In the end, we were just separatists that used terrorist methods. I nod. On your own people, I assume? Neferu visibly winces at that. Yes, although I did not see them that way at the time. There was peace between the siblings. I thought that whoever wanted Wolven inclusion to either be mentally unwell or deep down wanted the destruction of the Galaxias as a whole. Neferu goes quiet then, staring into the ceiling. He must be lost in that time, over a decade ago. I think about my own feelings of believing that certain people as a whole deserve to be punished. Did you, I abort the sentence halfway through, deciding that it's too cruel to ask, but Neferu knows exactly what I'm thinking. Hurt people? Not directly. He lets that one sit for a minute, and this time I wait patiently, the gravity of what he's telling me not lost on me. Basically, everyone on Adastra knew Neferu was being punished for something, that he had poor relations with his family, but few would guess that the first Khemian to set foot on Adastra in over 100 years was at one time a separatist. Because of my position, I was able to steal money to fund the group. While I might not have hurt people directly, I have no doubt that that money hurt and killed dozens. I can see the physical toll that it takes on him to tell me this, looking away, so tense that I see his muscles standing out more than normal through his fur. It's no wonder. He's confessing to being complicit in multiple murders. While a part of me judges him at first, I again have to look at that myself and what I do to the cruel men that live around Lux. I don't have the excuse of being an adolescent, however. He finally chances a glance at me, and when he sees my attentive face without any trace of disgust or judgment, he lets out a soft laugh in a sad, defeated way. I was punished severely, of course. Father even sealed me in the palace dungeon for months. I thought that I was going to die, to be honest. I spent nearly a year imprisoned. Then Father came to me with a proposal. Learn everything there is to know about Adastra. For the next 5 years, I studied intensively. Then after I'd learned the language and history, I was tasked with being the first Khemian to visit Adastra since the war, along with taking the first steps towards an alliance. And that's why you have me here now. Many thought that it was only meant to be some type of punishment for you. It was. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't sincere. By then, I had changed my views completely on the alliance, because I saw the alternative was only more suffering. So there you have it. Not very exciting, but also not very forgivable, is it? I think for a moment. How many know of this? The first part, my family, Brunus, and that's it. My father kept it under the radar somehow, even when the separatist ring was arrested. It was Aya who eventually convinced them of an alternative to the dungeons. I smile at him. I'm sorry all of that happened, for everyone hurt by it. But I'm glad that you told me, Neferu, and I'm glad that you're here. I hope you can keep it within these walls. I know that it's not fair that I didn't fully face the consequences of my crimes. That hasn't been rectified. But I'm trying through this alliance the best that I can. I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize to me, Neferu. But I think that I understand you. I have my own feelings about certain groups that I wish weren't so intense. I know, Scipio, but we change, and I hope that you can as well. Agreed. I say it truthfully, even though the hate lingers in my muzzle like blood. Once Neferu is asleep, I meditate. I don't have much hope without veil thinning or the stretch drive. But Aya said that I was special, so maybe? This feels wrong, like I'm betraying Aya somehow, but I need to know. Mara, can you tell me what I saw when I merged with the parents? To be continued. I was actually hoping for a conversation between her, but I guess not. So, it seems that the whole theory of Ramosa's basically sabotaging the peace talks and whatnot is true, but I kind of get the sense that he's not doing it because he genuinely feels that Adastra should, not join the Galaxias, or not so much that should not join the Galaxias, but that Adastra and Khemia should not, form an alliance and then, spread that alliance and whatever. I kind of get the feeling that something has been happening behind the scenes, how he said, that has been setting this up for a while now, and somebody was anticipating what was going to happen, meaning that Adastra was going to be able to go to Khemia, and then they were going to try to join the alliance, but that Pharaoh wasn't going to be there, etc., etc., etc. So basically, somebody has been moving the chess pieces on the board and setting up whatever it is that's happening. And yeah. It also seems very interesting to me that the parents, instead of being these benevolent godlike beings, how they are usually portrayed and how they were portrayed in Adastra itself, the first visual novel, that they seem to be more cold, calculating, extra-dimensional beings. Because they're not really in our dimension, they're in a higher plane of existence, which means that, they're extra-dimensional. And they do see the various timelines as they're happening. So I kind of see it sort of like, well, you can't see it because I don't have a camera, but in front of me, I have this piece of foam that has these whole bunch of different lines, going vertically up. And I kind of feel like that's how the parents are seeing it. All these timelines exist in front of them, and they're looking at each one of them and going hey, which one is the best one for this? Which one is the best one for that? Well, this one has this, but it doesn't have that. And they're going basically they're doing that. And they're reading all the little probabilities and everything, just trying to pick the perfect one that works for whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. And it is curious that they mentioned the human, but more so, well, they mentioned a human. They didn't mention Marco. Unless they were actually talking about Marco, but I can already see that one comment, because there's always that one comment in these Adastra related ones, oh my god, Marco and Amicus are not going to get back together, that we're not going to get... No, shut up. I swear to god, if I see that comment again, I'm going to silence you. Anyways, it would be interesting if it is talking about Marco, because if you recall at the very beginning of this visual novel, and in all three of its iterations, it always starts with something bad happening on Earth, and then people just being oh, we're not going to listen to Marco, basically. Oh no, we can't do that. Because, humans are very individualistic. And, look at what's happening now. Come on. We're stupid. We're not very smart people. So it would make sense that in this visual novel too, the humans are pretty dumb. And they're not falling in line. But yeah. I'm wondering if Scipio is going to be able to keep doing that. But not only that, do the parents or these higher dimension beings, are they aware that Scipio is speaking to Mara, who might possibly be somehow connected to the Leaves, which, it's now the official name of the evil voice, the Leaves, But yeah, also, we now got the reason for why Neferu ended up on Adastra. And like what some people could say, like, yeah, it was a punishment, but like at that, how he said at that point, it wasn't so much a punishment, it was him deciding to do the right thing. Which, you know, it's a good thing that it happened. Another little funny thing that they mentioned, or Scipio mentioned, is that back in the past, in Adastra, the visual novel, the connection between Amicus and Neferu was Marco. Marco was always the one that was in between the both of them, saying like, look, dude, Amicus, calm down. Just, you know, talk to Neferu, do these things, be stately, be calm, stop calling him names, please. And he was also, I guess, maybe like another little sapient piece or something for Neferu to see, like, yeah, you know what? A joining of the Galaxias is a good thing. The Wolves joining is a good thing. Amicus is a good guy. Because I'm pretty sure that if Neferu wasn't, I mean, not Neferu, that if Marco wasn't there, Neferu would probably have a much harder time dealing with Amicus and the whole thing that was happening. But again, all this is, again, being orchestrated by the parents, so, like, you know, he probably wouldn't have ended up there had the parents not said, okay, so we have Marco here, we have Amicus, okay, so we're gonna send Neferu here now, so hopefully everything works out fine. Because again, everything that is happening is being orchestrated by the parents. It is always them behind the scenes. So if something bad happens, it's not somebody's fault, it's the parents. Because again, they don't believe in free will. And yeah, that's kind of the point of with the story. Like, the parents are always, you know, pulling the strings. I know some people don't like that. Some people like to believe that, oh, Amicus found Marco and they fell in love. It's like, no. The parents told Amicus about this planet. They told him to go there, and they had him pinpoint on Marco specifically. Anyways, what are your thoughts on what's happening? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play Khemia, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io project where you can download and play the game. If you would like to support the Echo project and all the other visual novels that they do, which I guess at this point is this one, and a Rotoplay actually updated, like, it's been years. And Interia, whenever that one decides to update again. What else do they have? There's other stuff, right? Anyway, if you would like to support their projects, then, you know, become a Patreon member like I am and get early access to these builds. And yeah. But yeah, also, if you would like to support the channel, become a channel member and you get to watch these videos earlier and you do support me. So, you know, it kind of tells me that, like, hey, I like your videos. Here's some money on a monthly basis. And also, you know, you can support through Ko-fi in case you want to do that instead, or Throne in case you feel super generous. But anyways, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.